Welcome everybody back to the Excellency Mid League Season 2. We're here in Week 6. I'm the Idea PC, joined by Mac Dewey on the desk for today. And so glad to have all of you there watching us and joining us here. Mac, we got Darkside up against Divine Ascension Ruby. Both these teams right there in the middling of the pack here for Excellency Mid League. And, a 2-0 victory this week really has some implications for these teams and could really set them up for success as we continue through the season.
Yeah, Divine Ascension Ruby Idea have gone through a lot of roster changes, and well, those recent swap arounds and role adjustments really actually ended up working out in their favor last week, pulling off a strong 4-0 performance to start to get themselves a little bit more back into the conversation for a playoff spot because things are starting to tighten in the middle of the pack, specifically Darkside need to be looking for some cleaner in like closer wins, I think, overall. Last week they were very strong against One Brain Boys, but fell against Glaive Esports, kind of solidifying their spot in the middle for me. I'm hoping to see some growth and proactivity from them in this series against Divine Ascension Ruby, and from them a couple more losses in Idea. They're pretty much out of the playoff picture.
Absolutely. And, just talking about Darkside, really, we haven't seen a whole lot from this team as far as their
Yeah,
wins have been coming from more teams that have been towards the bottom of the standings here, right? They're not
right.
putting up wins against Glaive Rose or any of the other top teams in the league right now. I think they did go 1-1 against Legendary Wolves, which are also one of the
Hmm.
other mid teams here. But as far as those top four teams that we've got in our league right now,
Yep.
Darkside has not been able to crack that. So getting this win over Divine Ascension Ruby is absolutely key for them because it keeps them above that threshold where they are competitive with the mid pack and puts them in position to kind of break away. But draft has started, ladies and gentlemen, and already we're seeing that Senna come out here for the first pick from Darkside.
Well, both teams coming into the game were clearly happy with their bot lane performances last week as Divine Ascension Ruby were able to dominate teams with this Tristana pick in the bot lane. But I gotta say, Darkside have got a crazy good answer. The Tom Kench Senna combination idea led to their dominant 2-0 against the One Brain Boys. We've got the old scratch and rice every meal going to be feeling so comfortable in this lane. This is exactly how they want to go into the rift, and Ivern is going to help Zongi just dominate. This is going to be a really exciting match. I think these mid-game team fight power spikes are going to be great, and Darkside don't have to worry a whole heck of a lot about a Tristana just dominating the lane, trying to kill them, because as soon as the E goes on Senna, she has Curse of the Black Mists available, as well as even the Tom Kench Devour. So I feel like Darkside getting everything they want, but their solo laners have to be careful and may take some bans here, Idea.
Absolutely. I mean, I totally expect it as well. We had some really great performances from crits during the season, but also some kind of questionable performances as well. I mean, I think and everybody here will remember week 1 and that pop-off game on Yasuo absolutely dominating.
Yeah.
In that first matchup, it was something that, had us looking at Darkseid as a team and said, "Oh wow, this is
Hmm.
a really great standout performance."
Yep.
So I do expect some bans to be drawn that way, and we do see the Victor getting banned away here. So, some kind of duality here, a ban up towards the top side and a ban towards the mid lane there, but really no focus towards one or the other. So there's still a whole lot of options here for them to kind of pick out those solo lanes. And, it really just comes down to which player they feel like is going to be able to carry, harder, I guess you could say
Yeah.
here. We've got crits in the mid lane. You've got coach up there towards the top. You can pick these matchups however you want here. Dar's going to have this
Hmm.
first pick to be able to select something. And, maybe you give yourself that counter pick to whoever's going to feel strongest. And maybe you put, coach up on tank duty. I don't know what it is. But Sion, going to be picked up here for Dar. Another safe pick. And I actually really, really like this coming from Divine Ascension because you get that safe pick picked in, and then
Hmm.
you get to counter pick towards the mid lane, which is exactly what's going to happen right here.
Exactly. They really do want to kind of see what this mid lane matchup is going to be. Azir was not banned away, and I think would potentially slot nicely into kind of Lester Fiend's champion pool, big mage player. And I think the Corki Azir matchup, while might be a snoozer, the Nico getting hovered
Ooh,
right now would be really interesting. It's actually
that's
going
a
to get
locked in.
locked in. We've seen this from Lester Fiend work out. Divine Ascension Ruby idea really with this draft want to see if their idea from last week, if their game plan is going to be translatable across multiple weeks here in the mid league. This is kind of
Yeah,
what they were rolling with last week, putting Tricky Brain on a tank to just kind of try to his best to survive in the top lane. What I do like from Darkside's composition, though, idea want to get over to them is I don't know if Divide Ascension and Ruby are going to be able to take them down. You've got two huge late game carries in the Senna and the Corki. The nerfs haven't come through yet. Her interaction, Senna specifically with Gwinsu's Rage Blade and her crit chance hasn't been nerfed just yet. I think
yeah.
that's up and coming. We're not going to see that build in the future, I don't think. But right now, still really strong. Dark Side feeling good. And Gnar is going to be, I think, has a higher ceiling, harder execution though in terms of the tank matchup. We'll have to see. Coach has been dominant on that Mordekaiser, and I think that's kind of why we saw it actually banned away by Divine Ascension Ruby in that second phase. And Crits is going to be on a classic Crits carry. He's going to be wanting to just take over every aspect of the game for Darkside. He's been kind of who they've been playing for, playing around. And I think this composition kind of speaks to that.
No, it absolutely does. And real quick, for those that do not know, Senna's on-hit damage is absolutely the most disgusting thing that you will ever see in League of Legends right now. With the Kraken Slayer and the
Yeah.
Ginsu's built up, she actually
Mhm.
can build up higher than 100% crit rate with the items and also with her passive over time, and that just continues to add more and more on-hit damage. So you end up having these
Yeah.
absolutely insane numbers where 35-minute Senna is blasting you from a tower and a half distance away, and your entire health bar is just absolutely gone. So,
Mhm.
for those that don't know, that is kind of the angle that has been taken here with the Senna Kench bot lane, and I do also like it as well. Anytime you do get the
Yeah.
Kench, it does make champions like the Nico that has those Tangle Barbs to be able to get those picks, or even the Lilia, especially with the sleep. It does provide you that ability to swallow them up, get them a little bit more to safety, and provide opportunities for you to re-engage. So I like Darkside's composition here. I would have liked to have seen maybe a little bit more
Mhm.
drafting around that idea, knowing that you saw the Senna first pick. You can expect
Yeah.
Tom Kench to come around. So, some of these picks that you end up taking later into the game do have a little less usefulness when that Kench is the presumed pick.
Don't sleep on Silly Goose, though. This man is an absolute mad lad in the ADC role. Gungen's got epic fail, guys. Silly Goose is my seal of approval. Was here last season in the mid league, and this guy can absolutely turn up when his team needs it most. Putting him on this Tristana is a huge comfort, and him and JDK were absolutely dominant last week. They're going to be looking to continue on their aggressive tendencies. They're going to have to do it pretty darn early, idea, because I think the late game isn't going to give them a lot of flexibility when it comes to dealing the insane range from Senna that you were talking about, and just the sheer amount of counter peel sustain that this dark side composition brings. It's going to be on Hiram, I think, specifically on this Lilia pick to find some huge lilting lullabies, because I think outside of that, Darkside have a pretty easy game plan to execute and one that's overall pretty hard to interact with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do feel like Divine Ascension Ruby, they do have a lot of good engage tools here. I mean, you
Yeah.
have Scion Ultimate, you have the Sleep from Lilia. Literally every single one of these champions can make very, very aggressive plays and kind of get in there on these fights. So I like
Mhm.
seeing that, right? I like seeing teams in these leagues picking up compositions that have ease of execution, that are very, very simple, very, very straightforward. You go in there for the team fights and you look to absolutely dominate the competition, Mac.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dark side, it's going to be a little bit harder for them. They're looking to kite around. They're looking to play very particular League of Legends here, right? They're looking to find, extended damage in longer trades. You've got these shields going to be coming out from the Ivern. And then maybe if you're able to get that huge flank teleport coming down from Coach on the Gnar that just happens to find the targets, if they don't run away from you, then maybe you get that team fight front to back,
Mhm.
5-on-5. But it is going to be a little bit more difficult here for Darkseid to kind of find those plays as long as Divine Ascension Ruby is has their wits about them.
Exactly. The top laners are going to be critical, and I think trying to get their teams to that late game point when the fights are absolutely crazy. The teleport's obviously going to play a big factor. I think when it comes to a lane like this, coach, for the most part, is going to have his leeway. And Derpy Byzantine, short of a huge roam coming from the Nico and maybe a Lilia gank, it's going to be a tough lane. I'm hoping to see him try to find other ways to try to get the rest of the team. It's a huge, I think, losing matchup for the Scion. You got to try to get out of it, open up the
Yeah.
map early, and try to get the rotations going. Divine Ascension Ruby, are they going to be able to keep rolling? They were looking good last week, especially with this Tristana pick. Silly Goose was absolutely popping off. It's going to be a really big test for them to sort of see how legitimate they are for a playoff spot. There's a lot of season left. We're just now beginning the second half of the season, the second round robin beginning with set two last week. Now teams seeing each other for the second time might go a little bit differently.
Absolutely, Mac. And I do just want to mention here, if you guys are not already playing the Excellency Bingo, please go out there. I posted the link again there in the chat for all of you wonderful people to go take a look at. So, hey, check it out there. There's an R pick on my card. I have an R pick, so I get to click on that one right there. There's a Nautilus pick as well. So I already have two here just to start off. I'm already feeling pretty good about my card. So if you guys haven't already
I
started
didn't
that,
have
check
Gnar.
it on out.
Rats. Back to a spot.
Hey, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and flip it on over to intermission. We're going to see you guys out there for game number one. We've got Divine Ascension Ruby going up against Darkside here, looking to fight in that middle of the pack. And I cannot wait to see our casters out there on Summoner's Rift. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not go anywhere. Do not change that browser, and we will see you on Summoner's Rift.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here today with Darkside versus Divine Ascension Ruby. Very exciting game. I am once again joined with the one, the only Gungeon on color commentary. How are you feeling about this game?
I am doing great, Chief. I'm excited for these games. This game means a lot to the standings as we move into that playoff, so this is going to be really important for both these teams. And I'm just excited for a bunch of games to happen today. I'm excited for a bunch of banger games from both of these two sets.
Yep, right off the bat, we do see just that line of scrimmage, 5-point defense going on, making sure that there is no invades. A little bit of deep vision being placed by Divine Ascension Ruby, but nothing too severe.
One thing I do have to call out right now as we get into the just the items. Interesting that it looks like Senna is gonna go this fasting Senna as she has Spectral Sickle, but Tom Kench also has the support item. You don't if you're gonna fast this Senna, you want the other person to not fast because in this situation it makes it so that after a little bit, Tom Kench isn't gonna be able to CS because if you have support items, you actually start losing gold per CS. So I think they might have messed this up, but hopefully they correct this pretty quickly.
Very true. I do think that it's just a slight mistake from the beginning of the game. We would like to point out crits running this cleanse. Lots of CC right now on the side of Divine Ascension Ruby.
Yeah, a lot of people mentioning that because they want to get those bingo cards already going. I already have 3, so I don't know if anyone else can honestly try to win this. In terms of the fasting, though, I feel like there's so much fasting going on in the bot lane that maybe Rice was just like, I want to fast too. I'm taking support items. Support items are broken. Let's go. But it will be fine. In terms of just lane matchups, I do have to say I really did like the Darkside's draft here. I think that a lot of their lanes are very interactable. Like Tom Kench. Ooh, we're gonna see an early gank here.
Yep, Zongi looking for that Q, just
Ooh.
barely out of range of Silly Goose.
Close. They tried it there, and honestly, it doesn't really affect Ivern's clear too much because he's able to kind of mark most of his camps and then try the gank out. So it's not gonna be too big of a time commitment. And if it had gotten something, it would have been really big for this bot lane.
Yeah.
Looks like Harem though. He is behind them.
Harem looking for something.
Oh, they're going
there
for
is
it.
some CC. The root landing onto Rice Every Meal forces the heal out of Scratch, and Rice Every Meal going down to Silly Goose. Just a little bit of that Dark Harvest stack coming out from Harem, but the Q misses from Derpy Byzantine from a flash from Coach. That was very skillful.
We have action all around the map already 3 minutes in. I did not expect this much action to happen in this type of draft, but what a play by the side of DAR. I mentioned this. These lanes are so hard to interact with. You have Senna Tom Kench able to play so safe against the Tristana plus Nautilus engage, but they get their early gank from Harem, and a great play by JDK and Silly Goose. They end up separating out the Senna and Tom Kench, so the Tom Kench is never able to actually eat up any of the damage, and most of that damage actually ended up going on Tom Kench, and he's so squishy at the moment because he did end up taking that Hail of Blades that he honestly gets bursted out. And if you're gonna go for a win condition, this is kind of what you have to go for. And I did mention it, and Rice did correct it. He does sell the support item, so he is not gonna be fasting. No double fast bot lane, sadly.
Yeah, it is probably the right choice. Zongi taking a little bit of damage to shield negating a lot of it. Derpy being the first one to roam, but Zongi being slowed. The Q just barely hitting Zongi. Just like you said, wet noodle fights. Derpy Byzantine forced to flash away as Coach is now the one chasing. Gets one last Dark Harvest deck, does not quite get him. But Coach, is he going to be the one to fall? Jumps around, gets the shield, and the Meganor saves him. Oh, flashes away, and here comes the roam from Crits. Is this going to be it? Coach, no! So close by Crits to being able to get the kill.
I never
Wow.
expected this much action in an Ivern game. What is happening? It seems like everybody just wants to fight. And it was so close by Harem there. Again, I have to say, this early game by Harem is being played almost immaculately. He's getting so much pressure on all of his different side lanes, but super close to killing Coach. But they got the shield from Zongi, and he's able to live with the Meganar, and great roam by Crits. They get the kill onto one of the characters they do want to funnel a decent amount of this gold to. So great play by Darkside to respond to, honestly, a really good early game by Harem from the side of DAR.
Very true. I did not think I would ever see the Meganar health actually save someone, but I guess I'm standing corrected once again.
Yeah, don't doubt Coach's. Oh my God.
Beautiful hook landing onto Rice Every Meal, but just has that gray health, will be able to heal that right back up. Gets that shield. Silly Goose going in, uses the W second proc to get right out of it. JDK just chasing on Rice Every Meal, does use the ignite there, but JDK might be falling here, forced to flash away, exhaust used onto Old Scratch, and Rice Every Meal flashes away, lets his ADC get hit. TP coming in from both the mid laner and the top laner, and Silly Goose being taken out to about half HP. Now Coach is left in a pretty awkward position in a 1v3.
And JDK's somehow good at multiple games at a time, great at Jeopardy, and even better at League of Legends. What great hooks by JDK. Again, when you deal with the comp like the Senna Tom Kench, the big advantage is that you can, if you put a lot of the damage onto the Senna, the Tahm Kench can kind of eat that damage up and really negate it. But again, JDK landing hook after hook after hook, kind of separating out the combo, and a great 2v2 by the side of DAR. And now this is how you win the game. We talked about how we mentioned, and the casters were mentioning, that the draft from the side of Darkside felt really hard to interact with. Like, it felt like this comp kind of just hyper scaled up, and there was not much that could happen unless the DAR solo laners or the junglers got a lot of work done in the early game. And that is what's happening. And it's honestly coming from the side of this bot lane. Silly Goose and JDK are kind of taking off, and it's really hard to deal with now because, again, now that Tristana has these two items so early on, oh, there might be interaction in the mid.
No, just getting right out of there. Lester Fiend too close under turret, just barely misses the root. But I mean, nothing else going to come out of that one.
Yep, not too much. Again, Corki, we're eventually going to be back in the Corki and Azir meta, as Azir is already going to be getting a nerf in the next patch. But Corki plus Nico is probably not that much better. But again, great play by the side of DAR's bot lane. I can't mention it enough. If DAR's bot lane kind of just played this lane out super passively, didn't do much, it felt like Darkside's comp just kind of hyper scaled into late game. But now with the lead that Tristana has, having her Noon Quiver plus pickaxe already committed, if JDK lands a hook on either of these bot laners, they die. They pretty much get instantly bursted.
Yep, completely agree with you. That is a huge advantage compared to Senna's only pickaxe. Of course, Senna is fasting right now, will not have that extra gold income except from poke. But if we look at the gold lead, only about 1k, 8 minutes, that is very undoable.
Yeah, it's not going to be too massive of a lead. The biggest problem that I have is that if DAR are able to get that early Rift Herald, if they can kind of break this Tristana out of this bot lane hold that she's in. Oh, JDK.
Ooh, the Daisy coming out, and this could be a stun landing from Rice Every Meal, but instead goes for the Devour. Devours out of the way of the Daisy knockup. JDK taking a lot of damage, blocking right away, and Rice Every Meal finishing it off. Drowsy landing onto the Ivern, and the kill going over to the side with the beautiful TP. Zongi's gonna go down for the double kill over to Derpy Byzantine.
What a play by DAR. These guys, again, they've had a rough couple of weeks. A lot of games have been forfeited due to scheduling issues, and so they were kind of falling down that bracket, but they want to remind you who they are. Again, great TP by Byzantine. It felt like Hiram is always in the perfect place at the perfect time in this early game, and now they kind of are ballooning this gold lead up to that 1.5k gold lead, and with these solo laners plus this 80 carry getting such a gold lead, you could have as much shielding in the world. You could have Tahm Kench, but Tristana right now will just kill you through Tahm Kench. Will kill you through the Ivern as well. And, ooh, JDK, nope.
Bit too close to tower. Crit's going to be able to get right out of that. Does have the cleanse if need be as well. And Zongi being forced out of his own jungle. Tries to get the smite onto the big chicken, but Harem will ultimately get it. Senna coming in with the Black Mist. It will be a 4v3 right now unless Tristana comes in. It'll be a 4v4. Coach is in the top lane, gets that stun. Crits being a little bit far forward. Lester Fiend taking a lot of damage. The hook perfectly landing onto Old Scratch, but the shielding from Ivern is too much, and the ultimate is going to take out Lester Fiend. Lester Fiend was so low from that ultimate. Ivern did actually end up taking that. Not sure if that's who you want the goal to be going to, but it's a kill nonetheless.
Yeah, they just kind of put Lester along the wall with Corki missiles, Senna W Seta ulti. He just could not escape. And good turnaround from the side of Darkside. I like that they are fighting back for this jungle positioning because, again, if Lilia takes off with the great early game that Harem is playing, if he kind of starts snowballing, he can kind of just do his camps on clear and just invade Zongi time after time after time. So I really like that Darkside is fighting it back against it and putting pressure and saying, we are not going to let you just free farm all of the jungles, Lilia.
Yep, all coming out. And the flash engage from JDK. Crits using the cleanse, but Silly Goose says, you silly goose, you're going to be going down and up top lane. The Drowsy Harem just absolutely destroying Zongi, being just so little health.
Can Harem be ever on the wrong side of the map? I feel like this guy is always there to either negate a play from the side of Darkside or always there to initiate the play for his team comp. This guy is playing this early game fantastically. Harem for my early game match MVP right now.
Oh yeah, Harem definitely making the plays around here. Has the 6-stack Dark Seal and is in perfect position to take this second Earth Drake.
Yeah, it will be with the Mountain Dragon being the second dragon. It will either be a Cloud or an Ocean Soul. So everybody that has those bingo cards, make sure that you check. And Cloud Soul might be getting you closer to that bingo, but they are going to be positioning around it. It looks like Darkside does have a good amount of vision control, so it will be DAR kind of having to face check. Derpy does not have the TP, so Coach might be the only one that can try to interact with this dragon fight.
It is very risky to TP when a Derpy Byzantine
Ooh.
has his Q. Coach going in, just barely missing the ultimate, but there's just plays
Watch
down
JDK.
that side as well. Oh, a JDK with the hook onto Tom Kench and the Pop Blossom landing, getting that stun onto Rice every meal, not having enough gray health. Coach being taken on solo, the flash engage, but shutdown going over to Coach. Coach is being the coach. Crits grabbing the kill onto Lester Fiend, but Crits just 1v2ing. Crits being eventually taken out by Harem, but JDK, ooh, the max range Q from Zongi. Wow.
If you told me that an Ivern Senna comp would have 17 kills in 12 minutes, or 17 kills having gone down in 12 minutes of gameplay, I would have told you you were lying to me. But this game is just banger after banger after banger fight. Again, we saw in that top lane, Coach tried to make a play on Derpy Byzantine. He did get the ulti off, but again, Byzantine kills him. But again, the ghost of he's not able to get responded with. And in that bot lane fight, a great play by JDK to engage on the Tom Kench. I like how DR are playing around this Tom Kench pick, just always pulling him. And because Tom Kench did go the Halo Blades, a little bit less tanking than usual Tom Kenches are, so they are able to try to burst them out. But again, great play by Crits, great play by Old Scratch, not dying too early due to the engage. And they end up getting a wipe, and Tristana's going in.
Silly Goose getting a lot of damage onto Rice Every Meal is going to be devoured, but Rice Every Meal just way too low, not being able to activate that gray health in time.
Yeah, that's a fasting Tom Kench, but that's a feasting Tristana, so not too much there.
Yep. Coach going mega right now in a 2v2. Coach gonna be just knocked up, barely hits that root harem, popping the drowsy onto the Gnar. And the pull, JDK, beautiful roam up. Lester Fiend grabbing the kill onto Coach. Daisy just barely not being able to get the kill onto the Lilia, left on 1 HP. Crits and Old Scratch rotating up just a little bit too late. And JDK could be getting caught out here, but the Q perfectly timed to get him right out of that situation.
And that's kind of the big thing about both of these team comps here. DAR engage these fights really aggressively and really quickly. Like with Psyonity, with Nico, with the JDK Nautilus hook, they can get fights started off instantly. The big thing is though, you have to execute these fights really quickly because the amount of sustained damage that the Corki plus the Senna are providing and the amount of chase down that these champions provide is really what's messing up DAR on the back end of these fights. If DAR can't get a fight to be super snappy, super quick, where they kind of just blow up the members of Darkside, Darkside can turn it around as the fight kind of prolongs out. So that's kind of what you're seeing, and that's why both of these team comps are kind of like interacting in such a weird, sudden way. It has resulted in DAR getting about a 2.0 cold lead, plus they're going to be able to pick up that early Rift Herald, so we're going to have to see how this game goes out. But again, both of these teams are kind of playing towards their team comp's favor, and I'm really loving it.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with you, my friend. Derpy Byzantine taking a little bit of damage up here. Coach just showing his dominance, having this stride breaker, having the range advantage, and we might be seeing a little bit of an engage here as Tristana or Zong, you get caught out there. Not really good. Chris just barely getting out of the way of that Pop Blossom.
And that's the big thing here. If you look at the side of the vision that DAR control, like in terms of Darkside's vision, they actually have no vision in that bot side jungle. So it was really risky by both Zongi and Crits to be kind of sitting down there. It's going to be a solo kill up top.
Yup. Derpy Byzantine not underestimating the damage, not using the ult to get out of there, and he pays with his life.
And that's things that Derpy cannot allow to happen. You cannot be kind of giving the Gnar this like solo lane for free at this point, and it's really gonna pay off, or it's really gonna cost them because again, right now DR are doing good. They're getting engages off quickly. They're allowing Harem to kind of carry a lot of this mid-game team fighting. But if Derpy can't hold the Gnar in the side lane, that's when the problems start up. Because if this engage ball comp of the Lilia, Nico plus the Nautilus Tristana have to kind of get broken up because they have to deal with the Gnar on the side. Ooh, engage.
Flash from Rice every meal. Oh, just barely not going to be enough. The shield coming out, and JDK forced to flash away as well. Stridebreaker being used, an old scratch, getting that kill. The TP coming in from the Scion, and Silly Goose is able to get right out of there.
And that's going to be, again, a costly play. Silly Goose and JDK try to go for the bursting on to Rice, but again, he's a little bit tankier right now, and that Tristana ulti did end up knocking him away from the Nautilus hook. They're not able to get the kill off. Coach is able to respond and get the kill, and now the problem is going to become bigger and bigger because Derpy did end up wasting his TP. So now for this Dragon, Derpy's not going to be able to come down, and this probably should be Cloud Dragon for the side of Darkside.
Yep, Darkside enjoying this little trade that they made will most likely net them a dragon. Like you said, still have to remember about a 1.5k gold lead, so nothing too serious right now. But look at where the gold is right now for Divine Ascension Ruby. It's in your Lilia, it's in your Tristana, it's in the people who you want the gold to be in.
Yeah, the gold allocation from the side of DAR is really great, but my biggest fear is that the comp for the side of Darkside is just better. Like, we've seen such a great early game by Harem, but all it's led up to is just a 1K gold lead. And if this gold lead kind of keeps shrinking and shrinking, and this ball of Ivern, Tom Kench, Senna, and Corki can kind of scale up, this becomes a bigger and bigger problem for DAR, so they cannot afford to make these small mistakes. Every small mistake they make is leading to big repercussions because of how strong the comp is from Darkside.
Yup, Harem forced to flash away there. Zongi getting that outstanding vision control with his bushes. And I do think that Darkside will get this Drake. Divine Ascension Ruby probably going to just give this one up for mid lane turret.
They do have the inside track, so they need to be a little bit careful that they don't get engaged on. But again, if on the side of Darkside, if both of these team comps are kind of laying their cards on the table, oh, they're going to try to go for this.
Maybe an engage, crits, getting hit by that E, with nothing else going to come out of it. Harem being a little bit deep, being a little bit risky, and the root landing onto Daisy. Daisy just going down. Bye-bye, Daisy. Ooh, the huge sleep landed onto 2, puts Tom Kench to sleep with Senna in his mouth. Crits being taken out to about half HP. Coach just jumping all around, trying to get out of there. Does have a bomb sitting on top of his head. And Crits gets that shield,
Watch the Gnar.
gets that damage, and Gnar going mega now gets the ultimate onto Old Scratch. Old Scratch kills Silly Goose, but Let's Stream with the Pop Blossom shield is able to do a lot, but not enough to counteract the Gnar. Byzantine going to his passive, and that's the shield coming out from Rice every meal. And like you said, the composition of Darkside is just better at these fights.
Yeah, the ball comp is now just taking over, and after that engage failed, after the Lilia ulti and the Sion ulti couldn't really get you any sort of pick, they needed to just try and disengage. But that's the big problem from the side for the side of DAR. This Darkside comp will just chase you down. Ivern slows, Ivern roots, Senna slows, you have the Tom Kench, all of these things just kind of chip at you, slow you down as you're trying to disengage from the fights. And again, Coach is able to get a perfect Mega Gnar on Silly Goose. That is one of their biggest damage dealers, and the second that Silly Goose dies in these fights, it's pretty much over from the side of Divine Ascension Ruby. The ball comp from Darkside is just too strong. You cannot mis-execute against this comp, because if you mis-execute, you will lose.
Yup, very well said. Gold lead sent back to nearly even. If anything, it's at around 500, but that's on a good day right now. We are seeing a bit of a 1-3-1, I think.
Yeah, and again, if I'm laying out the cards on the table for both of these team comps, for the side of Divine Ascension Ruby, you need to get these engages off snappy, you need to get them off quick, and you need to be playing off Harems. You either need to try to keep the 1-3-1, just hope that your solo laners can hold and see if Harem can get these ball plus sleep engages off, and then just burst out the squishies. If that cannot happen, you need to try to make these engages quick and snap. You need to get Derpy with a teleport flank. You need Lester to find a teleport flank, because if you just try to 5v5 front-to-back team comp, you will lose to Darkside's comp. It is just too hard to ever try to engage onto the Ivern and Tom Kench, and you just get slowed down and just poked until you eventually die. But they're going for it.
This is a 5-man top lane versus a 3
TP.
TP coming in from this from the Nico has a huge pop blossom with Cyan in the backline, getting that kill onto Senna. Crits just using the Valkyrie to get out of there. Daisy being taken down really low, but the Gnar lands 2 with the stun, throws that boulder, but has a bomb on top of his head, and Crits taking so much damage. Coach going down, and that is a 2 for nothing.
Again, that is a perfect fight for the side of Divine Ascension Ruby. Lester is able to teleport into the middle, and it felt like nobody was honestly hitting him. This is going to be scary because, again, Crits does deal a lot of damage, so if they get poked by Corki missiles, they can just die here.
Yeah, very true. Baron taken down to about half HP. Blue side, dark side need to do something about this. And the engage from JDK eats crits, but the ulti from Senna saves the crits. Silly Goose being taken on solo, trying to flash out of there, but Tom Kench flashing and grabbing the kill. Lester Fiend taking Rice every meal very low, but here comes Coach with the kill on the Tristana. Derpy Byzantine being taken out solo, gonna be sent to passive, and that was a bit of a Baron throw.
Like the initiative from Divine Ascension Ruby, they felt like maybe they needed to try to make a play that aggressive, but it felt like they were just a little bit too overeager. They'd used so many of their cooldowns during that top lane fight, so they didn't have anything to really get that snappy engage off, and Crits was just throwing rocket after rocket after rocket, and Silly Goose just got kind of chipped by the Baron, and Divine Ascension Ruby bought themselves a lead, and now it feels like they just kind of threw it, but he's just dead.
Yep, Harem does land the drowsy onto 2 of them, but Harem most likely gonna die. Flushes over the wall. Ooh, that's a beautiful kill onto Tom Kench.
They are really low.
Ooh, they are way too low.
Oh my god!
Getting to execute. This is not what you want to see. This reminds me of LCS again. Here comes Derpy Byzantine, forces the package out of Corki.
Both teams are just, they said time to throw PogChamp, and both of these teams are just trying to throw these Baron pits. Both teams try to execute that Baron play, but again, they don't have enough damage. The teleports come in, and oof, a little bit of a rough mid game by both teams, and that will allow DAR to get this Cloud, the second Cloud Dragon. So again, we are not going to see that early Cloud Dragon stack on either of these team comps, and the game goes on, but I have to say, I don't like how both of these teams are trying to play out their comps. If on the side of Darkside, let's do a 4-1. Push out the bot lane, let the minion waves kind of push it in, and have Coach in the side lane. Coach right now beats up Derpy Byzantine every time. We've seen Derpy get solo killed twice now in this game. Let Coach build you oh my god, he's dealing damage.
That is a lot of damage. Ulti force out of Silly Goose. Silly Goose taking on to about 1 HP. The drowsy being used, but the knockups canceling it from Derpy Byzantine. Crits taking down all of these members of Divine Ascension Ruby down very low. And Crits leading the charge, shooting out these missiles. And I don't think that a 20-stack Lilia really wants to die right now.
No, not at all. And Crits is really trying to get it done because, Jesus, this man is putting in damage after damage after. He might die.
Oh, yep. Harem, though, with JDK, but Coach chasing him down. This is slow. Oh, those perfect Zanyas from the ulti. But Coach eventually does get that kill. Just so much damage, so much CC from Mega Gnar. Does not even matter. Crit's picking up that red buff.
And we have to get an F in chat for all those Magi stacks. Rest in peace to the Magi stacks of Harem from that beautiful early game. And they are going to go for the Baron, and will this be a time to throw PogChamp number 2 here?
We could be seeing the exact same thing again. Rice every meal, trying to make sure that no one gets in, but the Baron just immediately going to be ended. But the Nico with the Pop Blossom does grabs 2 onto the Tom Kench. Crits not being able to do enough, is exhausted. Ulti landing onto Coach, being knocked up, exhausted, knocked up, knocked back, and knocked dead. Is this maybe another Baron attempt? 4th one of the game.
I know. Why does every team want to just force Baron fights? Guys, let's sideline. You have Coach. He's so strong right now. He can beat up on the Scion, but again, they keep trying to force onto this Baron, and that's perfect for the side of DAR because that's what they want to do. I'm surprised Derpy didn't just use the sign ulti and just engage because they were all so clumped up in the Baron pit. And now at 25 minutes, Divine Ascension Ruby pick up the Baron. This engage comp now has the Baron to force it down these lanes, and Darkside with a massive throw at Baron again.
Oh, yeah. Completely agree with that. It was a bit of a throw there, but in the end, Divine Ascension Ruby get the Baron and get a little extra gold in their pocket, get this advantage in the side lanes and in every lane. Overall, only about 4k gold lead.
Yeah, it is a 4k gold lead, and again, the comp of Darkside is just, it's better. It does a lot more. It has a lot of disengage. It can really stifle DAR's comp, but if Darkside keep opting for these 5v5v5 team fights where Lester is able to get the flash Nico Pop Blossom or Derpy is able to get these flanks off, then they will lose. That's just how it is. Again, we've seen two team fights, that top lane team fight that led to these series of Baron throws, plus that Baron fight right there. Lester was able to use his Pop Blossom to kind of zone out and keep apart this bubble comp that we see from the side of Darkside. And again, you have 2 minutes. For the next 2 minutes, Darkside should not opt for these fights. Just play it slow. Try to lose as the least amount as possible. If you have to give up an inner tower, that's fine. If you have to give up a Cloud Dragon, that's fine. But you need to just stem the bleeding, hold it strong, and get back to the position where you can keep this 4-man comp. Because again, Crits is so strong right now. If he gets even a second and a half on any of these carries, he will one-shot them. Stem the bleeding, go back to the 4-1 comp where you have Coach in the side lane, and let's run it that way.
Yup, you heard it from the LoL esports expert Gungeon himself. Just stem the bleeding. Gonna be the new LS over here. Ooh, Zongi and Crits going for the engage onto Harem. Not gonna have anything else happen there as she is able to get right out.
They need to be careful because, again, Byzantine is here.
Ooh, JDK with the beautiful Zongi one shot and the huge Pop Blossom gonna land. And Crits and Silly Goose. Wow, that was a beautiful engage with the Pop Blossom. And the Scion knockup, just wow.
Yeah, it went from a flesh wound to kind of having to rip your arm off. And again, we saw Coach was in the side lane, but this might just try for an end here. But they're going for it.
Or at least take a few of these inhibitors. Drowsy going to be used onto Senna. But here comes Coach. The flash engage from JDK. Coach landing the 2-man stun, the 3-man stun. And
Can
Coach
he do it?
in the stair. Is he going to be able to do it? But Silly Goose is too big
he's alive!
right now.
Oh, no!
Byzantine and no! Silly Goose just
Crits
barely falling. Could this be an end? Coach, you need to do something. Derpy Byzantine is taking on solo JDK at about 1 HP. Starting to take the next, but Coach, it's not going to be mega in the end!
At 29 minutes! What just happened?
Wow! Divine Ascension Ruby taking game 1 with a amazing end.
And whoever that shot call on the side of Divine Ascension Ruby, this guy has absolute just nerves of steel. He calls the end at 29 minutes, and wow. Again, I was gonna mention, and I talked about that Derpy was in that mid lane. They had Coach in the side lane, and when Coach is in the side lane, you have to give up the mid inner. If the mid inner goes, that's fine. You can lose that. Just stem the bleeding, but they overstayed. JDK lands a perfect hook, and again, Derpy Byzantine gets a 3-man Scion ulti into a Nico Pop Blossom. They get absolutely aced, and they go for it. They say, we are not even gonna let you try to scale up to where Crits becomes an absolute hyper carry. They go for the end. It was close because Coach looked like he was about to get a 4-man Gnar ulti, get the hold off, and at that point, there was a fear that they could lose the next Baron, but they go for it. They get the end, and what calls by Divine Ascension Ruby.
What a call indeed. Any last impressions from that game?
If that's what we get for game 1, I am so excited for game number 2.
I am very excited for game number 2 as well. We'll be heading to, I believe, a short break right back to the analyst desk for game number